and also brought home a talking vending machine.
Can we name the cat Prospero?
It has
Cat
a name.
already has a name.
It already has. Never mind then.
Yeah, she's right under Liz.
Yep.
Majestic rainbow cat. So, when we last left off, you guys had, you had about T-minus half an hour before Jack Jazz's timetable of you guys needing to get the hell off of New Corona due to, Viacorp being on your tails, or so he says. You actually have no physical indication of that. They seem to be after everyone. If what Red Scar was doing from Nova's perspective, it seems like it's house cleaning day for anyone they don't like, given what they did to the corporation. Name, of course, I forget. I really do need to start writing this down in a more convenient place, but yeah. Yeah, Gene Eric Advanced Biotechs, which, if any of you have been paying attention to the news feed, there's been some haggard news reports, very brief, and people aren't allowed to even get remotely close, that there's been a quote-unquote terrorist attack on Gene Eric Advanced Biotechs. And you see news reports of the building literally in flames. The entire inside is likely gutted. There's, hovering fire trucks and various things attempting to put it out, but whoever did so clearly did so with significant intentions, and it sounds an awful lot like someone trying to make people go away. And pretty much anything deeper than that, even on the dark web, there's very little. A little bit of probing from someone like Sami, who has some new connections thanks to Jack Jazz. You're able to get into some private Ethernet forums and get a little bit of info, but even then it's pretty damn scarce, and you're pretty close to the source for the beat pulse of New Corona, and it's all hush-hush. The handful of people who seem to know anything aren't saying anything, and they seem to either been paid off very handsomely or are under serious threat themselves to keep their mouths shut. So it looks like it is just about time to lift off. So, out of curiosity, a few of you, almost certain, have been off planet and have traveled through space. Who among you has not? I know let's see. I know Nova has. Nova's a soldier. Herman, you has as well. I don't know.
Yep.
I've come pretty much directly here, I think.
Has not traveled off world as far as he remembers.
Right. But yeah, I basically took a one-way ticket here, as far as I'm concerned, right? So, not much, but I've been
enough to get here. So you're not a stranger to warp travel. Nothing else.
He has shown very deep interest in learning how to pilot.
Okay, and then what about you, Sami?
I've been off planet before.
Okay. And I think that's Tax. What about you?
I was born on another planet, so...
Okay, so it's going to be an interesting ride for you then. Nearing the end of that half-hour period, the last-minute checks are going up. You actually, if you're still outside of the ship or just getting some last-minute things done, you would hear the ship rumble as its various engines start to come online one by one. Various small drones circle around it, just doing last-minute checks. This spaceport is simply too big for there to be people checking things for quote-unquote small ships. Despite how big it is, being a heavy freighter, it is still considered quite a small ship by comparison to something like a proper cruiser or a larger transport like a bulk freighter, which are basically like the equivalent in space to the freighters of our world, just absurdly big.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, they're huge.
Because the thing is still pretty maneuverable, right? So
they probably don't even land on planets.
Well, do a culture check on that for me, would you, Magnus? I might be able to tell you a little bit more. Okay. With your culture check, you know that this is fairly obviously a dwarven ship, and even if it's in space, maneuverability is easier. Because theoretically you have no top speed, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Engines are rated in such a way within safe parameters, basically how quickly you can decelerate to regain control from going full burn. And dwarven ships, much like the dwarves themselves, really aren't in a hurry to get anywhere. They tend to be slow and fairly unmaneuverable, but they make up for it with a very heavy armament and very heavy armor. And speaking of armament and armor, actually, did I give you guys access to the forum sheet? Hold on a second. In player's journal, you not be controlling this. So just don't edit anything on this. I'm about to give you guys control of it just so you can take a look-see at it. Because I don't think you can actually see its character sheet proper.
Okay, what is it?
The spaceship.
It's the ORM Anvil of Mars under NPCs.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is your ship, or the ship belonging to your captain, the Balafur Sunderstone.
So it's heavy and clumsy.
Yes, but it's heavily armored. For a quote unquote bulk freighter, it is actually also very well armed. Its forward complement includes a particle beam, which is a pretty nasty weapon in its own right. A lot of range, a lot of punch. It's a kind of a carryover from mining implements. But strangely, anything that can be used for mining can also mine ships equally as well. It also has a high explosive missile launcher. Of course, that was also basically previously loaded with depth charges that were launched into asteroid clusters or to asteroids that they wanted to break up further. And they're just basically TNT on a rocket. They're explosives meant to smash rock and move aside large objects, not necessarily punch through armor, but that's just a matter of swapping out the missiles. So it's a carryover from that. On its port and starboard sides, it also has a pair of mining lasers, which again are very useful for mining and drilling through ship shields. And it also has a pair of gyro lasers that give it 360 coverage in both the front and rear arc, although the front arc is not exactly scarce in defenses, but the gyro lasers allow its rear to be covered as well to some extent. It does offer a bit of a blind spot, so to speak, but it means that there's no way that they can really get close. It also has a forward-mounted flak thrower for anti-missile duty. And this is just kind of the ship you're all, I'm assuming, piling. Like, what are you all doing right about now on this last-minute check before the ship starts to get up into the atmosphere?
Checking the engines.
All right, roll me an engineering.
Oh. Let's see.
It reminds me I didn't actually read through downtime activity yet. Damn it.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm gonna check the shields and make sure the engines are running, or not the engines, the power core is running stably.
Okay.
Right, 17.
So with your 17, you were checking the engines. The engines are, they're old, but they're old for dwarven standards of manufacturing, so they're still probably going to be good for another 100 years. They're not at their peak performance, but they're far from garbage. They'll be just fine. With your physical science text, the generator is much like the engines. It's an old dwarven model meant to test time. In fact, it takes some fiddling just to even get readings. She's an old stubborn power core and an old stubborn girl, but once she finally decides to, show you what she's got, she's running green across the board. And again, like most of the interior of the ship is pretty beat up, but beat up in such a way that it's just wear and tear. Nicks here, a little bit of paint missing there, just stuff that is not worth fixing. But it also shows that she's actually seen some use. So, that's all in. Bellafor is in the is in the cockpit. Is anyone else up there with him?
Adnines is there with him. He's trying to learn how to pilot. He's very interested in that. And with his permission, Adnines would really enjoy that.
Alright. Well, he gave you permission, I know the last session was a while ago, but he did give you permission to take her up into the atmosphere, because you seem to know what you're doing, strangely enough, but maybe a piloting check to see how much of this is coming back to you.
Is there a simulator in here? Something?
A simulator for what?
For like a flight simulator for training.
Nope.
basically.
Not really. He's doing it live.
Okay.
It's hands-on training.
Yeah.
With
Tra-
his
training.
oversight,
Having
and
someone who actually knows how to fly it be right next to him in case he fucking dives into the planet.
hmm
with
That's what we're
his
going to be our definition of
Overwatch,
flying, kids.
Adnines begins to push the buttons and takes the piloting stick and starts to prepare the ship, revving up the engines and everything else like that.
All right. Yeah, and again, you have to kind of stop yourself every minute or so because you're just doing things automatically. You're quite literally on autopilot, and you're like, wait, how do I know how to do this? And
Yeah,
it's like,
almost
oh,
in a
wait,
trance.
it's
almost
doing this now. I have to
instinctively
do this, and
try
then
starts.
in another minute, you're like, oh fuck, Bellafor's just kind of looking at you. He's doing a few things too, but he's more or less leaving it up to you. He's kind of switched back to the captain's position. He seems to enjoy, but at the same time, it's not one that he often gets to use because he's usually the sole pilot of his ship. And he kind of looks at it and says, like, I don't know who you are, lad, but you seem to know what you're doing. You're practically doing it yourself. Not even thinking about it, eh?
Thanks, I do my best. Ready for liftoff, Captain.
Alright, let's get off this rock. And he sends a PDA message over the loudspeakers, in the old Dworgen way, instead of bothering to use everyone's personal communicators. He just does it the loud way. He says, Alright, we're about to take off. Till we get up and past the atmosphere, you probably want to sit down for this one. You don't have to strap in, but I'm not behind the wheel, so take a risk if you want. And then it probably cuts off, and he says, Alright, boy. Gun it.
Sami's gonna strap herself into one of the gunner seats.
I push the big red
Aurora on her
button
lap.
to go full throttle, and I start rev up the engines to full throttle and lift off.
So,
And, Taxia said he's not behind the wheel. I'll look around and be like, then who is? And start running to the nearest J.
I probably find something to hold on to, and with my still a little bit shorter arms, I suppose, I try to hug it, and when that doesn't work too well, just hold on to it with one hand and look at my other hand and my fish I'm holding, and
you have a fish.
I just put it in my
his
mouth.
mouth and his hands on the pole.
I'm assuming I got the culinary synthesizer to produce something that resembles fish, something.
Yeah, you have a fish-like object. It's almost like a little cartoony, almost like one of those Swedish fish, but it's actually made of fish.
Alright.
Boneless and everything.
Alright.
And like I said, Semi-strapped into one of the gunner seats with Aurora on her lap.
Aurora's not exactly certain what's happening, so she's in exceptionally cuddly mode right about now. There's a lot of reds, yellows, and oranges going through her fur at the moment to show that she's upset, but not entirely so. She would be freaking out if it wasn't for you right about now.
Yeah, Sami's just gonna stay calm and pet her and hush her a bit.
I was about to say, prepare for scratches.
No, so far she's actually been very gentle, and she is not declawed forever. She has all of her claws, and she just doesn't seem to use them that often.
I think Sami is fine with that.
I mean, never mind. Let's just continue.
So, Nova, you doing anything special?
I'm also strapping in.
All right. And of course, you would all see that Adnines appears to be taking the lead, and you didn't know he knew how to fly one of these. I mean, it's not an uncommon skill for the mercenary types, but it's also not exactly a guarantee either. But he seems to know what he's doing. Anyone can roll a piloting check if they're in doubt, but as you're doing those kind of mental checks to look at things, so when a ship takes off, specifically in a planet like this where it has quote-unquote an atmosphere. Every planet kind of has their own way of getting a ship off, or some various different ways. This one is just the good old-fashioned ascent. And basically what you do is you are moved out of the protective bubble. The spaceport is near the edge of the giant bubble dome that is the city. They're kept in by a very powerful force field, but not so powerful that certain sections can't be intentionally made weak with physical airlocks. Your ship is moved out on a anti-grav conveyor belt, and you're kind of like literally like loaded in like bullets in a belt, pretty much. Although obviously there's different sizes and different queues depending on the size of your ship. You are considered a mid-range ship, believe it or not, so think like SUV-ish. So you are in that line. Eventually you go out and you're put on a pad, and you pretty much just gun the engines. And given that you're now outside without atmosphere, and it's basically 0G, very limited atmosphere, whatever passes for an atmosphere normally on Corona, you're able to just gun the engines and slowly take off into the sky. And Adnines, roll me another piloting check to see how well this goes. I am very curious. Yeah, you do it quite well. You kind of go up, and then slowly but surely the rumbling stops as there's just nothing really to press off of. And eventually you get out to this safe altitude, and there's a little indicator on the dashboard that you are safe to transition into normal flight mode. And you take off and you move towards the edge of the system. Of course, you're not going into warp just yet, but it's usually customary to make any warp jumps either at designated locations if there happens to be actual warp gates or warp holes around. This system is not big enough to have its own, so ships are forced to use their own warp drives in order to get out. But you'll spend about a few hours just going towards the edge of the system at relativistic speeds. So, during that time, you have a few hours. Do you guys do anything pertinent?
I turn back to the captain and say, liftoff achieved. Heading for the outer system now. Preparing for a void jump.
Aye. That we are, boy. Well, I don't need to worry about anything after all. I'm gonna go get a drink. You watch the seat. And he just promptly gets up and walks away.
I give him a thumbs up as he walks away.
I would like to head to the sensors and be the equivalent of a crow's nest lookout.
All right. That would definitely be a good one for you. Go ahead, roll a... What would that be?
Isn't that physical science because you're using scanners?
Yes, science. Roll me a science check.
Oh, well, okay. Fizz. There.
I'll go back to my lab.
The buggo goes back to his lab.
I'm just being curious, and I can at least tell people if it starts beeping, I suppose.
So you detect quite a lot going on around you, but it's mostly just the drive and signatures of ships coming and going, especially a couple quite large ones. You actually managed to pass by one of the coveted bulk freighters, and it dwarfs you. It's actually kind of sad. And you get a sense the captain actually looks out as the bulk freighter goes by. He happens to be walking by, and he just kind of goes, "This seems bigger." Just kind of continues to walk.
I sense envy.
Yeah. Well, he did. It's heavily implied that he worked on a planet-cracking size ship, which makes a bulk freighter look like a compact car. They are truly enormous ships. They are considered to be super capitals. So among the largest ships that were ever made. There's only a handful of them, about a dozen in the universe, and there's probably only one or two that are still functional to any degree. Without the lucrative nature of planet cracking, it becomes exceedingly difficult and oftentimes pointless to maintain a ship that large. Even for people as wealthy as the dwarven mining clans, who, like I said, they are absurdly rich with the amount of minerals that they're able to mine off the various claims they have all over the universe, at least the known parts. So by now, Sami, Aurora has calmed down. She's now just more curious than anything. Kind of looking at the stars. She kind of goes over to the window and begins pawing at the windows like she's trying to grab the stars.
Yeah, I was about to say, After she noticed that liftoff was complete, she would unlock the chair and just swivel around it and show Aurora the stars and point them out.
Do
And
we
watch
have?
for a change.
We're in 0G as well, right?
No, the ship has gravity generators.
Because I want to
Although
ask
it is
if it's like
possible-
Expanse where we just use mag boots.
No.
to walk around.
There are gravity generators throughout the ship. Although individual rooms can be turned off, and the gravity can fail technically, and there are handholds and whatnot just in case of that inevitability. But normally you can just simply walk around, and like I said, you can also turn off specific rooms if you want to go into 0G. Like it depends on the room though. Specifically, the more engineering focused rooms have them very easily, and it's literally just a switch to turn the gravity generators off. But the more civil rooms, you actually have to look for the switch, because generally speaking, engineering is the only ones who really benefit from 0G, because that makes their lives a lot easier with moving around heavy cargo and whatnot. And until you're underneath of it and gravity comes back on, and then you end up a squished cockroach.
Until you're boarded.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm basically flying around in engineering now.
Yeah. I don't know what Bob's doing. I'm assuming Bob's just like slowly hovering until his head hits the ceiling, and then is kind of like, this is my life now.
He had clamped on.
Okay, so he's got his mag boots on now.
Yeah.
And as I said, you are all issued a set of... They're mag boots as far as rules go, but they're more like mag cleats that fix around your various walking instruments. All of you have more or less normal feet, with the exception of maybe Tax. So they're able just to adhere on to your boots normally. They shouldn't leave scuff marks, you hope, Sami, but there's always repair kits for that. And they will give you all the benefits of mag boots, which I actually have to look up the specifics for, but I don't think there's anything highly out of the ordinary system. So, Tax, what's going through your mind actually seeing the planet from seeing the planet slowly become much, much smaller over the course of a few hours? I mean, I'm assuming you're not staring out the window the entire time, but what's going through your head? You've never been off planet before.
No, I was born on another planet.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you're born on this planet. My mistake.
No.
So this is
So it's
not
not
your
my
first
first
time
time.
seeing. Yeah, so it's not your first time seeing New Corona, and just seeing, I mean, how beautiful it is from down there. Just depending on where you are at the time, where you started off, not so much, but you realize just this planet would be utterly, inconceivably pointless to live on if it wasn't for the technology making New Corona a thing. Because one side of the planet is effectively a frozen, airless wasteland. The other one has absurdly thin atmosphere and is pretty much being cooked 24/7. The solar shade is the only thing that actually keeps the planet from, its population literally just being roasted alive. And you also get a scale of just how big the solar shade is, and actually seeing that it is in fact a single thing. It's hard to really take it into perspective looking from down, even if you watch documentaries and other things about it, or seeing news reports and whatnot, because kind of like how they have cameras on like they have cameras on buildings, like, hey, let's look at this fucking random view off this building because weather, that kind of thing. They have some on the solar shade, so you get a scale for it, but seeing it from here, it's quite a bit different.
How fucked would the whole thing be if the solar shade was destroyed?
The entire city would probably be roasted to death in an hour.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. But the solar shade is, you would know that it's built with a lot of redundancies. It was a massive, trillions of credits went into the construction of that solar shade. But it wasn't for all for naught. Thanks to New Corona being a place where people can live, do a lot of business, a lot of minerals come and go, because it is actually a fairly mineral-rich planet. It just makes it a lot easier to get to things when you don't have to live below the surface. A lot of you, especially people who've lived there a long time, about New Corona is only called New Corona because it's built on top of Old Corona, which is basically the subterranean labyrinths that were originally the probing mine shafts of the first prospectors some couple hundred years ago. That eventually evolved into a city, and then a mega city underground, though it wasn't exactly a tourist attraction by any means. Then some people with a lot of money threw their weight behind it, and they managed to build the solar shade. And once that was done, they were actually able to construct a city, a proper city. And that is pretty much why old Corona is more or less abandoned. Quite a bit of it is actually filled in, just to make sure that New Corona has a solid foundation. There are still people living down there, as some of you know. Some of you even had contracts with a couple people down there. But that planet is slowly going past you, and you're going to be moving through a small asteroid field, but this asteroid field is well documented. As such, there are subroutines automatically programmed into your ship that pretty much just have nav buoys that will just guide you clean through it. And there are also small... You pass by a couple small satellites armed with heavy laser cannons. But these are specifically a type of laser cannon meant to smash asteroids. So pretty much they have an exclusion zone. And if a asteroid of significant size gets within that area, it will pretty much turn it into space dust. And you move past this, and about, assuming nothing, you guys want to do anything specific, but it's about 2.5 hours before you reach the end of the gravity well. And Adnines, you get an all clear that jump procedures are ready, and that you may legally do a warp jump. Nothing is physically stopping you except a very hefty fine, as it's not something you want to do within the gravity well. So,
Yeah, I'm just gonna do diagnostics before space jump as a protocol.
all right. So this is going to be a two-parter. Then I'm going to need Tax to make a science check. I need you to make an engineering check because it's both for a warp jump.
Mm.
So, okay. Yep, the warp drive is it's newer than the rest of the ship, but it's still of Dwarven make, and it's still in relatively immaculate condition, given how many times it must have been used in its lifetime. These warp drives tend to get cycled out every, depends on the maker, every century or so, usually for Dwarven. So this is new, quote unquote, or refurbished tech. But yeah, it's functional. And, the funny thing is, Adnines, you know that you're at the point to actually start a warp jump, but you're not exactly sure how. What do you do?
I'm not sure how to jump.
You're not sure. You know how to fly a ship, but the actually activating a jump, opening up a warp hole, you have no idea.
I open the comlink and say, Captain, we are prepared. We are prepared for warp jump. Can we have your presence?
Hey, were we there already? This is resting my eyes.
Yes, Captain.
Bloody hell, gotta crack him up, Nick. I'm coming. And you hear heavy footfalls as the comlink closes. Sure,
I forgot to mention, Adnines patched up his armor. It looks, how to say, it looks a little bit slapdash. Pieces of his gauntlet, for example, that was crushed, he just replaced it with like sheet metal and stuff that he found in the armory. Parts are patched up with other material that's not the same color as it used to be. You know, it looks a little bit haphazard.
Yeah. So
it's functional, but...
Now, are you wearing your helmet? Because I know that you said that's a thing that you're going to be wearing your helmet most of the time. Are you actually wearing it on the bridge?
No, we're not in space or in combat, so it's not being worn right now.
Okay. So
I'm not wearing it on the ship itself, unless...
That Captain Thunderstone kind of walks in, and he does definitely look like he's half asleep, but he kind of shakes himself, saying, you don't know how to do a jump, then, boy?
No, He kind of puts his hand on his head and slightly sighs and says, I don't think I do.
All right. Well, if you're not certain about it, then there's no shame in saying you don't know how. It's not too hard. Something you got to learn for every ship. Same general process. He kind of walks you through it. Since we got the time, I'll give you the rundown. There's 3 main ways which ships go from here to there via the warp. And this is how it's done. Smaller ships use jump drives. Fighters, some smaller corvettes. They're small and easy to attach, so just about any ship can use them, but they don't do damn good unless they got a signal. You can't do a blind jump with them. And you got what we're using. Good old warp gate generator. Generator rift just big enough for us to pass through, and it's used by all ships, everything from this to a battleship proper. The only ones bigger are the dreadnoughts and the super capitals. They need a warp hole. Their system ain't big enough for one of those, but it's a big old hole, constantly generated and maintained warp hole. It's the only way the super capitals get around. Wasn't for them, you'd be able to have a super capital jump on you from just about anywhere in a battlefield, and warfare would be a hell of a lot different. Alright, so here's what you do. And he shows you going through the process of powering down the thrusters. And you notice that this is all your mercenary senses are tingling. You are in a very vulnerable position here. I mean, you're in safe space. You can you see that, assuming he's still on the sensors, you see that Magnus is tracking numerous ships coming and going, some exiting the warp and coming into system, while others are leaving the system via the warp. But still, your mercenary sensors are like, this is bad. We're a sitting duck. You also have to power down your shields, as the shields make a exceedingly rough transition into the warp. It can be done, but it's not kind to either the inhabitants of the ship. It really jostles you about. That much know.
Right before I power down the shields, I check again just in the scanners, just a quick look, just making sure that we're not being tracked or there's no other ships around that could possibly attack us.
Yeah, the only thing you see going by is some kind of tourist vessel. You can see it's a tourist vessel pure on the sensors because it has it's literally just rotating holograms of this and that, trying to sell you all kinds of wonderful things. It's basically a floating advertisement. It's like one of those obnoxiously dressed up.
I sigh in disgust at it.
I'm with you on that, boy. That's good on you for having that one little look around. Trust me when I say it. Sometimes you kick yourself some days for not doing it. Alright, everything's powered down. Alright, go ahead and route the power to the warp drives. And then the boys back in engineering will take care of the rest. Thanks to them, we won't have to wait terribly long. Normally when I have to do this myself, the subroutine's got to take care of it. Good hour. So, nothing you guys actually need to roll for, as it's just a matter of, watching over everything to make certain it's not going to explode or anything. Just, standard procedure.
Yeah, I'm just...
Oh, go ahead.
I'm peeing the captain saying that everything is running in the parameters.
Parameters, gotcha.
Yeah, parameters.
All right. So, with that being said, the ship comes to a complete stop. It's effectively powered down. There's still subsystems like life support, gravity, and all that is still on. But weapons are powered down, shields are powered down, and thrusters are powered down. As all power is routed to the warp drive generator, which it takes quite a bit of power. It takes only about 5 minutes, given that you guys aren't in any rush to power it up. And slowly but surely, purplish blue energy starts crackling around the ship. Obviously, sound, given that there's no sound in space. But very slowly, it begins to form into a cluster in front of you, and then it slowly but surely is projected forward. This large purple ball of energy, about the size of your ship, and slowly but surely it kind of opens up, swirling like a maelstrom, and then slowly opening into a field of colorful stars beyond. It's really difficult, and then the lightning effect begins to draw your ship in, and it's painfully slow at first. You're kind of like, come on, when's it gonna happen? And then just like that, it saps you through. And even though you're now on the other side, if you could see it from the other side, the warp hole would exist for about another 3 or 4 seconds before it collapses in on itself and it's gone in a little starlight blink. Kind of think like what happens to Team Rocket whenever they're blasting off again. And you are now transitioning into the warp. And this is kind of just the automated process. But since you are behind the wheel, Adnines, I'm going to need a piloting skill roll to see how long it's going to take to get to your destination. Sorry to keep throwing piloting rolls at you, but these are all for different things. I usually don't
That's all right. That's all right. Can you do the roll? For some reason, roll 20 is bugging out on me.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Let me do that for you. Where is it? Okay, here we go. And just watch. I'm gonna roll on that one, I swear.
20.
There you go, 20.
All right. So yes, you are able to pilot it, and Cap's like, all right. Looks like we found ourselves a good current. Yeah, it should only about be 3 days. We're jumping pretty far. We're going into unknown space. Good old vast. So.
Should I radio the rest of the crew? Tell them that we're still all in one piece?
You probably should do that. Make sure no one's looking for their head or something like that. Yeah. The movies make you think really strange things happen when the warp drive fails. The only thing that happens is it bunces you out and messes your ship up a little bit. Kind of grumbles to himself. Kind of switching into Dwarven, like, automatically. Yeah, you don't speak Dwarven, but you heard enough
I get
people
the meaning.
cuss. Yeah, you know he's it's a good old-fashioned dwarf grumble. But, yeah, you might want to call him up. I could use this time for a briefing. Don't want him to get lollygagging about.
All right. Is there a meeting room on the ship?
There is. There is a small meeting room off to the side of
Alright.
the commons area.
I press the comm button and say, attention all crew. We have transitioned into the warp. Please report to the meeting room for debrief.
Alright.
I guess since you were probably nearby, Barry goes, I wonder if that means me too. Probably not. Barry's not a person
Is he
anymore.
is he in the meeting room, or is he like near is the meeting room next to the kitchen or something?
He's within about 20 feet of the meeting room.
Okay, so people can get a drink from him if they want
Yeah,
to.
I mean that's literally what he's for. Yeah.
Okay, good.
He's all cleaned out now, thanks to.
So he still feels like a part of the crew.
Oh, he is. He's quite literally part of the ship, part of the crew.
I don't assume Barry has a comm unit.
He has one integrated into him.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
He could be listening on it from his position as a vending machine. And again, he is not bothered in the slightest by being a vending machine. So, well, you better go on ahead. I don't want to leave everyone behind. Barry ain't going nowhere, as long as his Magnus don't give out. If not, Barry be over there, face forward on the other side of the wall. Not looking forward to that. So let's hope for the best.
Yep.
So, you all come in one by one, and when you come in, the captain's actually the first one there, and he's actually poured shots of dwarven ale for everyone, and there's a small shot glass. It's about twice the size of a normal shot glass, but this is a small shot glass by dwarven standards. And there's one sitting out for each of you as you kind of come in. I'm assuming you brought Kitty with you, Sami?
Indeed.
Kitty is now currently passed out in your arms with her little tongue sticking out.
Oh, good. Sammy's just petting her a la Bond villain-esque, like, oh, nice if you could join me.
I think I saw that in a movie once. That's pink, though. So, all right, have a seat. Got a shot of my good stuff for you. Yeah, sip it slow if you're a lightweight. So, let me show you a little bit about... Let me tell you the whole tale of the tape now that we're out of system. Sorry for being so obscure before, but I don't like it. Walls have eyes and ears, especially on New Corona. Ever since that shite took over via Corp, it's only been getting worse. I mean, there's always been corporate espionage. She kind of looks specifically at you, Sami, but it's hard
She
to call
just
what's happening.
shrugs. Or no, she has a poker face, so she just...
Do I notice
Fuck.
that though?
Yeah, go ahead, roll. You would probably be the only person who has a chance to notice, though.
Sense motive or
Because you-
perception?
Sense motive, opposed by a bluff, I believe. A bluff is still a thing.
I can
Oh,
check.
dear.
I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so roll a bluff, Sam.
I want to try too.
Yeah, but you would have a lower roll because Magnus does see it through it. No one else does. But then again, being specifically trained to read people might work into that a little bit. Yeah, you get there's a very
I'm actually on a +5 untrained.
Nice.
well. I mean, wisdom is your primary modifier, isn't it?
Yes, and I also get +2 from my race. So
There we go. So,
empathy.
all right. Yeah, he literally rolled a fucking 5 and he beat you. In fairness, Sami, you only rolled a 2, so
Yeah. Shitty roll.
it's good enough to fool most people. It's clear that she's never been around people very, very good at reading her, or if she was not around people, she cared if they knew what she was actually thinking. But for everyone else, she's done a good job pulling them. But you see a little tick that when when the captain says information brokers and whatnot, that definitely gets your attention. Well, now that we're off planet, and I'm secure my ship is safe from any bugs, especially that annoying little zip. Kind of grumbles or something. Here's what we're going after, and here's how we're going to get there. So, I don't talk much about my past, and I'm a bit estranged from my mining crew, but trying to work my way back into their good graces. Maybe 100 years, I'll actually be able to call myself one of them again. Maybe I'll die a glorious death before then, and my shame will go with it. But regardless, someone who still actually cares to say my name got me a little bit of information. And he pulls up a holo display that is fixtured into the table. He displays a solar system. Well, actually, it shows a solar system that you were just in, and then it slowly but surely pans out to show the entire universe, or at least the known parts. There are very large black gaps and various other astronomical phenomenon. You actually see that Aurora now kind of wakes up a little bit as she sees the hologram. She's kind of just looking at it, kind of hanging upside down from your arms and like reaching out for the planets in an exceedingly adorable way. If she was actually that big, it would be terrifying, but she's not. And it says, so there's these large belts of asteroids. They go all over the place. They have very long orbits, and, well, we dwarven miners keep our eyes on them. Because, well, depending on how long, they pick up some interesting things and then deposit them in other places later. Got an interesting ping from one of our long-range scanners that something interesting popped out of one of this asteroid field right here. And he points to a rather large elliptical asteroid belt. It's called the Titan's Fool. Don't ask me why. The name's older than any of us, but the belt popped out something in this little system over here. Yeah, no one's been in that system in ages. And, well, truth be told, the entire area is pretty lowly rated. Reports of pirates, but no one's popped in there for ages, so I'd reckon they probably moved on. They rarely stay anywhere that there's nowhere easier to prey on. Well, we're likely to be the only ones in that area. But whatever it pinged, it ain't natural. It's got some rocky content from what the scan was able to show, but definitely some man-made things there as well. That's our primary goal. I reckon it's a space station built into an asteroid. That's not common. It's not uncommon. Especially if there's something interesting in the asteroid. No point in building a station next to the damn thing. You might as well build on it. Well, that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna go inside and you're gonna take control of that station. Assuming my contact didn't leak to anyone else. Damn bastard. We'll be the first ones there. And hopefully if anyone else does show up, we'll have the guns online and give them something to think about if they decide to get froggy with us. Not to mention the Mar can handle her own, but not exactly odds I want to be taking since most people come in groups. We're a solo ship. Stout and sturdy, yes, but still a solo ship.
So this is not directly info from VV?
Aye. No, this is purely me. He just wanted you off planet and knew I needed some help. Kinda all works out that way.
I see.
Though that being said, I worked with VV long enough to know that there's always some alternate motive than this.
How big possibility is this that this is a pirate base?
Well, that's the thing. The ping was able to get us the power readings, and, well, there's barely anything on. And pirates, well, they ain't exactly stingy with their power usage. All the crap they're up to. I don't even want to know, truth be told. And besides, it didn't get any more pings, no ships nearby. And it's unlike pirates to have only one station and no ships around. It's derelict, that much I'm certain about. How long it's been there and what it is, What race made it? No, that much I don't know, but that's what we're going to be figuring out.
What is the first meeting protocol? Shoot to what you see or capture?
First protocol is to get on board and then not die. The thing about these derelicts is all kinds of nasty critters like to take up residence in them. Well, I could talk your ear off for an hour about the things I've found already, but truth be told, you can't handle it, well, I don't know why you're here. You're competent enough, and I don't need to hold your hand. So, you'll get aboard via the Borton torpedo. I'll stay on the ship, of course. I ain't no good planet side, and I ain't leaving tomorrow without my captain. So,
If you find anything weird, magic, whatever, just tell me. It's kind of a hobby.
hey, you do magic, do you, boy?
Oh, I
Take
do.
your brother's side.
Magic.
Yes, well, many people don't, and either they are nice to me or they regret that, I suppose. Doesn't happen a lot, though.
You seem like the talkative type, for sure. Never known your people to have a bad sort in you. You talk too much, no offense taken, but you're good negotiators, that much I'll give you. You give ours a run for their money.
Yes, we pride ourselves on a proud tradition of interaction and friendly one. That's that.
Jake, does Sami know anything about the station or the planet or the system that they're in?
Go ahead and make a culture check.
Yep.
Okay. And I'll take your check into your check bonus, not bonus, your DC reducer into. So this system is actually a bit of a void. It's around a lot of other systems that have higher traffic. Quite distant systems, they're not exactly neighbors by any stretch of the imagination, but this has just always been an empty system. It only has, according to what records you're able to pull up from the dark net, this system only has a smattering of asteroids around a single red giant sun. And that's really the only thing interesting in it. Everything else is, there's no other planets of note.
Does she know anything about the station? Like maybe something that went on there?
Unfortunately, there's no record of a station having ever been there. That station likely got picked up by that asteroid belt and simply deposited. It could have been the other side of the universe where that thing got picked up. And then just the atmospheric phenomenon just shattered out right there. That being said, there would be one thing with your 23 you should definitely bring up to the captain. He might already know and is simply not telling you guys. Is that if it just got shot out like that, it's either going to be drifting ever so slightly, or if it got caught in the orbit of the sun, means it's probably not on a stable orbit if it's powered down. So that's likely a degrading orbit, which if that goes on for too long, which could be hours, could be days, could be weeks, it will eventually plummet into the sun. And obviously you don't want to be aborted if that happens.
Yeah. Sammy's just gonna give the captain a look and be like, so our target is stationary?
Stationary as anything in space can be. It's minimal power readings, according to us, but it ain't fully operational. That much we are certain of. As long-range scans, we're searching halfway across the universe. You can't get very accurate. I think I know what you're getting at. The orbit. He kind of clears his throat rather obviously and says, yeah, I almost forgot to mention that part. And you don't even need to roll. You know he's lying when he says that.
Yeah.
He's just avoiding telling you.
She's just gonna give him a stern look, like the one she did before.
Patting your cat.
And petting my cat. There you go.
Yes. You're ominously petting the rainbow kitty, who's currently passed out upside down with her tongue sticking out.
Yep.
Menacing. Just menacing, let me tell you.
I mean, her look is gonna be menacing as
Mr.
shit.
Fluffus thinks you're lying, dwarf.
I ain't lying. Just not telling you everything. There's a difference.
Withholding the truth.
Alright, that's it. Oh, God damn it. Reminded me more and more of my ex-wife last.
Well, I mean,
So,
she's got a point
God,
that could be. Could that be dangerous? What
It
drifts the
could be.
orbit?
I'll put it this way. If we get there and it's obvious the damn thing's plunging into the sun, I ain't gonna send you aboard. It ain't worth the risk. But if the orbit's still salvageable, then priority is to get it online and stabilize that orbit. Now, that's assuming that the power core still works on that station. It's depending on its size, it'll have one, maybe more than one. You need to get that power back up, and then get communications back up. Once communications are back up, we'll have a line to you. Otherwise, it's going to be patchy at best, depending on where you try to contact me from. If possible, I'll see if there's any existing holes, and I'll shoot you through there. And the least damage we do to the station, the better. Truth be told, given how long that thing's been in the asteroid belt, well, how long we think it's been in there, I doubt there's much worth saving. Probably just be a chop and shop job.
I have. Isn't it just better to put us closer to the engineer so we can go and put up the power?
Well, that's assuming we can get you close enough. Those areas tend to be pretty heavily fortified, and I ain't quite ready to shoot you through there. Who knows what you'll hit on the way in. Besides, these are mining boarding torpedoes. They're not the military kind, otherwise you all have to wear power armor, or you end up as splatters on the opposite side. Catch my drift.
Do we have any documents about the local fauna on this system?
Yeah, there ain't no planet for there to be fauna. According to what records I have, it's only a single red giant and a bunch of asteroids. A real dead-end
Sammy's just
system.
gonna nod at the explanation. Not visibly say something, just nod.
Yeah. The captain's a little bit too busy in his speech to really notice, so...
Yeah.
He goes on to say, yeah, it's a bit of a dead-end system. Black hole, as we like to call them. Not literally, but, you know.
So no space-leaving fauna reported.
No, but depending on what's been hitchhiking on that station, you might find a few interesting things in there. Yeah. Fancy yourself one of them, called Vesk Hunters. You know, the ones that go to wrestling animals for TV's sake.
Now them. They tend to die really quickly.
That they do. Except that one crazy bastard.
When I hear him say space fauna, I kind of assume something living in space. At least that's the picture that popping up in my head. Do I know of such a thing existing with, I assume, life science?
Make a life science for me, and I will tell you. Potentially.
Oh, buddy.
Things live in space sometimes. I'll give you what you know for certain is that there are races that can live without oxygen.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one of them was piloting the ship.
True enough.
So and there are also creatures that are, there are basically gigantic space space
whales,
jellyfish. Basically, just creatures that are not even truly sentient, that just exist in space, and those space stations can also have minimal life support on them. If only a few sections of an average space station are running life support, it's fairly common knowledge that they can be run for quite a long time. They run on similar fusion engines that the ships do, so they can run for a very long time on minimal power. And again, assuming these things can find something to eat or, are able to exist without eating, then they'll be just fine. Adnines does need to sleep, quote unquote, and he does need to eat, quote unquote, but he does not need to breathe. That being said, and I leave this up to your discretion, Armand, Adnines, if he's a more humanoid style of android, he would mimic breathing, but you don't actually have to breathe, for reference.
He is quite humanoid, yeah. He's very human-like.
All right, so you have that kind of subconscious subroutine to actually breathe. So it actually kind of means you can't even really be choked in a way. Or at the very least, I guess you could fake it pretty good, and then, it's like, oh, surprise, I'm not actually unconscious. Punch.
But does that mean that he breathes in poison and stuff?
That would still affect him. So environmentals would probably be good for that. Any foreign particulate that can exist in space would still be harmful to him. But the lack of air alone would not kill him. He would be able to go indefinitely without
I mean,
air.
he doesn't
have
sweat,
to
so
do-
maybe he vents some of the heat he's internally
If-
producing through breath.
If you want to choke me, you'll have to do better than that.
Do you say that aloud?
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm trained to not to choke AIs.
Good to know. We
Sammy's
wouldn't
gonna
want
look at
any
the captain and
accidents
be
to
like-
happen on the ship. And I wink at the doctor.
Sammy's gonna look at the captain and be like, "So, Captain, did you try and establish any kind of communication with the station?"
It's usually a bad idea. Unfortunately, we don't have communications that can do anything more than a long-range ping. You know the kind, the long-range rescue beacons. But no, we didn't get any contact. As far as we know, there's nothing on there, but there's rarely nothing on those things. Especially one that's been in a belt that long.
Understood.
Besides, I wouldn't be throwing you in there unless I thought you were competent. VV vouches for you, so I don't think you're going to be disappointing me anytime soon if you impressed him.
So, Tex, ever restarted a station power core before?
Aye. That's your first goal. Get to the power cord, see if it can be turned on without blowing the whole station up. That bit's important. Can't really retrieve you if I have to spend 3 years finding all your pieces again. But if that can be done, get that online, get the communications online, and then if they're even still functional, get the defenses online. Once that's done, the station's more or less ours, and I'll go about calling the people I know, and we'll see to salvaging it. Or who knows, maybe we can renovate the damn thing. There's a good market for second-hand stations, believe it or not. Damn things aren't cheap.
I was talking to Marine. I don't know. Are you here, Marine? You're
Yeah,
not saying anything.
I'm sitting listening.
All right. I was just asking you if you ever restarted the station power core before.
No one's ever let me near them, so first time for everything, I guess.
I suppose.
I mean,
Yeah, but-
who can say they've been to a core of a space station?
Well, not me, but well, I don't handle these things normally. Well, maybe
they
we'll
just-
find schematics.
It ain't that hard. It ain't exactly hitting a switch, but, between the two of you, you can knock your noggins together and figure it out. If not, I can walk you through it. You should be able to get the communications online via secondary power, at least.
I mean, we just don't know how old the thing is and which model and whatever, and I don't want to get blown up, but I'll trust you have done that before in some capacity.
That I have. I've heard of a few meltdowns back in my day. It ain't an easy job, but I'll tell you, it pays good. Get lucky. Otherwise, we're just looking at a heap of scrap.
I don't look less nervous.
You can just see that Balafirst is kind of overflowing with that dwarven, partially arrogance, partially, just breadth of experience of things he's done in his life. So I'm not overly concerned. All right. So, well, that's really all needs to be said. Do you got any more questions?
He also has that sense of dwarven bluntness.
Yeah.
What's the cut?
Well, that depends on what we find, truth be told. You get your fair share. I ain't one of those type that like to stiff people.
Any useful resources can we keep on the ship?
Aye, keep that until we get the good stuff. The vast majority of it's probably just gonna be scrap. Stuff we're just gonna tag and let someone else take care of. I still got a few contacts that got salvage ships. Just pretty much park them and let them tear the station apart over a few weeks. And then we take our cut at the end.
And I assume that there are some decontamination protocols.
Well, keeping your environmentals up and keeping your suit sealed, that'll be good enough. The decontamination, well, yeah. Actually, I almost forgot. And he goes into a chest he has, and he pulls out small badges that he hands one to each of you. And he goes, "You probably want to keep these on you."
It's the radiation badge.
It is, in fact, a radiation badge.
All right.
Basically, if this thing turns a funny bright color, get the hell out. Radiation badges. You probably were told about what they were in school, but yeah, these are the real deal.
Well,
These ones-
that's reassuring.
So it's sci-fi Geiger counters.
Yep.
They're basically just something that will turn a funny color when you're in a area with dangerous amounts of radiation. It basically has a gradient on it that it'll go from pretty much black, which means nothing, to like red, which basically means lethal radiation, but you won't have the opportunity to see that and be alive. So, and the let me see what else if they do anything.
It will go red and you'll grow your third limb.
Yeah, I mean you'll be dead with your insides inside out, but you know, details. So, let's see. Radiation badge. Here we go. You're about to enter a square containing any level of radiation, and you're wearing a radiation badge. The badge beeps audibly to warn you. Okay, so it has an audible component to it as well. The radiation badge is always on and functions for 7 days before it needs to be recharged. So, and these are off at the moment, so they'll start their 7-day period as soon as you basically activate them when you go in.
Should we
Let's
add
get one
these
of
to our sheet and consider them ours? Or...
Yes, if you could, that would mean a lot.
Okay.
I will let me link it to you in Discord, so in case you want to copy and paste the text. Good old archives of Magnus. So, any more questions, concerns, lollygagging?
I would say.
No, seems pretty clear to me.
Aye.
Eh.
Truth be told, part of me's hoping this is going to be one of them boring ones where we don't find nothing, but I don't know. It's got an itch in my bones saying it's going to be something, but I got you lot with me this time. Not really much I can do in this line of work except pick up errant spaceships and things like that. You know, crash fighters and the lots. About the only thing I can do myself. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm glad to have you with me. So, I know this is a 2-part deal and all, but you still could have said no, so thanks for coming along.
You know, all things considered, I don't think we can complain very much.
I guess not, but doesn't mean you don't deserve an old grumble. Everyone is entitled to one of those, after all.
Oh,
Well,
I've met worse people, believe me. A lot.
I bet you have. I don't know how your people keep a smile on your face with some of the assholes you gotta deal with. You gotta teach me how to read a Vesk's face, though. That's one that's a mystery to me.
You know, I just see where people come from, and it gets a lot easier to accept, at least when they don't punch you. So...
Yeah, that's always a risk with them Vesk, for sure. What a hell of a fight, though. Kind of grabs his chin and kind of like rubs it. They give damn good uppercuts, too. A little bit of a word of warning and some life advice. Don't get into a bar fight with a Vesk.
Wasn't planning to.
Right. So, Nova, you've been awfully quiet. What have you been up to during this meeting? Any concerns, anything you're thinking about?
I'm just listening to all the arguments and the objectives.
All right.
And I do have one question.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, I missed a little part. Are we just landing on the station? Are we just docking? Or how are we?
Boarding fatigue.
I can answer that.
Torpedo.
Being shot into it.
Fun times.
Don't worry, it's not one of them military grade ones. And it's got retro rockets on it so it can be fired back for pickup. Yeah, worst case scenario. Hopefully this station's big enough that I'll just be able to dock and then we'll be able to work out of the ship. That'd be nice, but don't trust anything with those little stations. At least it's founded in rock to some extent too. Means it's less likely to fall apart. Well, anyhow, I got some things around the ship to take care of. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Just follow the grumbling, you'll find me.
How long till we're departing?
We're already in space.
Yeah, but I mean, into the torpedo.
Well, we have to
When
get
are we
there and
launching?
then do some close-range scans to see if we can get anything more interesting out of them. Like I said, them long-range scans ain't worth snot. Just tells us something's there and some basics. Once we know that it's actually worth sending you aboard, then you can load you in the torpedo and send you over. Find a weak point in the hull, preferably somewhere it's already damaged. Makes the cutting head do a lot less. Lets the cutting head do a lot more work.
When
And
are
once
we
you're-
at skidding range?
No, you're actually literally still in warp transition.
It's 2 or 3
You're like-
days, you said, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3
Okay,
days.
2 or
before
3
you-
days. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that was only because Armid actually had a pretty good roll.
Thanks.
It could have been
I'm
up. It
gonna-
could have been up to 6 or 7 if you had rolled badly.
I'm gonna walk
You're
off
welcome.
without talking to anyone, continue reading my notes, and straight back into my lab.
So I'm
I'm-
gonna check the guns.
Yeah. I'm going to open up the coffee machine.
Hey,
my name's Fred,
I'm
the coffee machine.
machine.
Don't you dare touch Barry.
No, I'm going to touch Barry. I'm going to open up and looking for strength devices.
You're looking for what?
Strength
Espionage.
devices.
He's looking for bugs.
Yep.
He's paranoid.
Well, I mean, you already cleared him. You already cleaned him out earlier to make him functional again.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll a engineering or perception, whichever one you want. I think engineering would be more because you're looking for hidden bugs. No, he's clean. I mean, he wasn't clean, but he was clean, so to speak. He didn't have any bugs. No object sensor readings. No
Yeah.
hidden recording devices.
No STD.
Just the standard audio and visual capture equipment that he actually uses to see and hear. So yeah, no, he's clean, and he brews nice coffee. So it's good for advice. Better likes talking to people.
Mm,
We
So
still had to patch him up, right? I mean, there was still some maintenance to be done with him.
most of what's left to do with Barry is all just some of the external damage. He's got a light out. He's got some graffiti and things like that. Just kind of stuff that takes elbow grease and a little bit of time to take care of. As far as being functional and being sanitary, he's a-okay. Because Belfour had those materials on hand to
yeah, I'm
Barry up.
going to fix him up and going to paint him pink.
I will be helping when you're fixing him up, but
Don't paint.
we'll
him.
talk about the pink.
One step closer to luxury gay space communism
My
tier.
research the next 3 days.
All right, so that's what you're doing. What specifically are you researching, Tax?
Calibrating weapons.
Calibrating weapons, focusing laser crystals, power energy generation and restoration, and shields.
I'm just
General
gonna have
or
to insert
personal
this Mass
shields.
Effect joke. What is it with giant space insects and calibrating weapons?
I mean, he's good at it at least.
Mm,
So you're able to basically kind of realign everything, and what this will mean is the first shot with every weapon. If you guys go into combat, will get a +1, but it's only the first shot next time it's used. But that's what you get for your nat 20.
okay, so an opening salvo then. Okay.
Yeah,
Worth it.
your opening salvo.
That is actually
Is that every combat or just
Nope, just this one time because you're able to kind of fine tune things.
and I would also be doing the shield weapons or the ship weapons and stuff.
I'm what I'm going to do after 3 days, I'm gonna tell Nines to come with me, and I'm gonna repair his ugly armor.
A bit of an eyesore that you can't quite look away from.
Yes. He's a fucking glory boy, and he's misbehaving
I
with
mean,
his armor.
it's not repaired badly. It's just that it's repaired with whatever was on hand.
Yeah,
In
and I'm gonna...
fairness, Bellafor had some, choice pieces down there as far as,
Yeah.
scrap equipment.
I just repaired it with whatever was there.
It's no longer.
It wasn't a bad job. It's just that it's not matching anymore.
It's function over form, pretty much.
Could use a paint job.
I mean, he if he had anything more damaged on him and repaired like that, people might mistake him for a pirate. But as it stands right now, not really.
Knowing him, that probably wouldn't you'd be fine with that, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that is a no then?
No, there's nothing to repair there. It's
Okay.
just that it's functional. It's just not pretty.
Yeah. I mean, as far as mercenaries are concerned, as long as the armor keeps you alive, how it looks is really a secondary concern. All right.
Okay, then I go to the medical bay and sulk.
There you go.
You sulking for a few days like that?
I'm just gonna prepare. So if we get hurt, we are ready. I'm gonna read up on some spacefaring parasitics and stuff that can happen in abandoning space stations.
I should say that when you are in the warp, you are cut off from extranet and most forms of communication. So you are kind of in autistic mode, so to speak, until you exit and attempt to reestablish communication. But even if this is in the place that Bellafor says it is, the odds of you having anything but like long-range shotgun transmissions that will take like a day back and forth is pretty much the best you're going to get. And you probably won't allow that because that
I
might
should have medical books stored in my device.
Yeah, you've got a catalog of ebooks and things to look up. I'm assuming that you also prepped for such a thing. You grabbed a reading material.
Yeah.
All right. So the day ends. You go each to your quarters. You are bunked together. I don't know who's together, but each of you have to share a room, and then one person, I guess, gets their own. So who gets their own room?
Who wants to share with the John creepy bug? Nobody. Great.
I have no problem with the bug.
Wants to be a roommate with
God
me.
damn it.
I guess, considering Sami is the only female.
Yeah, she's.
I
saved
just
a
want
lot,
to
I
point
guess.
out here, don't just do genders. I could be either. I just want to say that.
They're suddenly very
Right.
laggy.
But
Right.
yes, I agree.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't
Sami
mind.
gets her own place. All of us go share a room.
Yeah,
I guess I'm with the
I would
doctor.
have liked a single room, but that seems more appropriate, I think.
So actually, wait. There's actually 6 of you. So yeah, I guess all of you will be sharing rooms. So I'm assuming we'll just
okay.
put Tax and Sami in the same room since they're technically closer to the same gender.
Alright.
Technically. Specifics.
Yeah, and then I guess it'd be Nova and Adnines, and then Herman and Magnus, I think.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Who's
Who's being a roommate?
Yeah, probably Nova.
No, you got Marine.
Yeah, you got the
me
bum man.
because I can be a he.
you're technically
We
technically
can decide
neither,
on
but
our own.
I just
If you're basically saying who you want to bunk with, then well, you'll probably get it your way.
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
mean,
how it's gonna work for Sami.
yeah, she's just gonna look at Nova and be like, I believe you still owe me an explanation, so want a room? You still
Sure.
owe me a story. And she's gonna
But
smile
quick
and skip
question.
ahead to the room.
What had a smell?
What?
Okay, can I roll perception to see if the otter smells?
I'm just gonna ignore that question and be like, Magnus, you're with me. I'm not dealing with either of these two.
Are you fucking putting with Android?
Yes! I'm putting
So-
the guy with PTSD of robots with the robots, and I'm just
Yeah, I'm going to the medical bay and sleep.
Oh, you got a room on the couch already.
No,
I have a
Adnines.
room to myself.
Okay, here's a question, Magnus. What specifically was the scent of the shampoo you used last night?
That's very specific, okay? Ocean breeze.
He smells like ocean breeze.
Yeah. Okay.
He does
I'm
not
gonna
actually smell.
I'm gonna put up a plaque that is the enter knock before you enter. If not, enter on your own risk. Then I'm gonna rig up the hunting rifle to shoot that first guy that goes in.
No. Skogs, what you should write is trespassers will be please don't enter. Trespassers will be used for science experiments.
All right. So, with the betting situation sorted out, do you guys actually want to have your conversation in character, Sami, between you and Nova, or is that just something we'll imply and just bring up later?
I mean, depends on if Nova wants to do it.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm a little bit rusty because the last session was a while ago, but I mean,
Yeah.
I know the.
How about you
I
guys?
know my part. What were we?
How about you guys go in a channel if you want to keep that secret, and I go take a 5-minute break? Because I need one.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Go ahead and take a break. Yeah, we'll take a quick break because I actually could use a drink too. So I'll be right back, guys.
I don't need a break at the moment. I'm not sure about you, Liz.
Nope.
Okay, let's just hop down then.
Yes,
Works for me.
that works.
Skogs and Ahmed, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm there.
If I see you sleeping in the medical bay the next day, I'll be like, oh, my bad. Must we swap rooms or something?
Yeah, they have medical beds, and they're probably better than the bunk beds. I don't know.
That's most probably true. Oh, Skogs, I got Conqueror's Blade to start downloading.
Oh, you got it in. Yeah, Bonneton placed it. E.T. plays it.
I saw Chris
plays it.
plays it. You played. Do you guys have like an alliance or something?
Nah. We just play together.
Because I see there's like siege battles and fighting and all that.
It's a little bit grindy, and you have like unit to command.
Oh, what's a Conqueror's Blade?
It's a multiplayer game.
Can you smoke it? No,
It's
multiplayer
medieval free-to-play game.
Sounds pretty interesting.
Conquer.
It's like Total War.
No, Mountain Blade.
Yeah.
It's more like Mountain Blade.
That's interesting.
But an MMO version of it.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
My PC can just handle it. So you
Well,
should
hey,
be fine.
maybe my potato can as well. Who knows?
If you can play Fallout 4, you can play it.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, but
Yeah,
I
but
mostly play.
yeah, just play it along low graphics and it should be fine.
I mean, I can handle Warframe easily, but that game is really well
Yeah,
optimized.
then you should be able to play it. I think you can play it too. Awesome. Yeah, you're also nice, Marine. You actually put tried to put me in the same room as the guy that scared the shit out of me.
Well, hey, maybe this
when I
is
saw it, I was like, "Wait, this is gonna be amazing! I'm out. I'm going to the
This
other
is a
room. These
chance
two
for
can
you
fight
to-
to the death."
work over your bigotry.
It's not bigotry. It's combat disorder. Combat post disorder.
Bigotry.
It's not bigotry.
It's obviously is.
I'm waiting for a combat situation where like Adnan saves your life, and then 5 minutes later you save Adnan's life, and you both become best buds and are like as thick as water.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that, just because that's how these kind of things go. It's like, no, I hate this guy. What the hell? I never want to see him. Next moment,
it's
you're both like
Gimli-
fighting
it's
back
Gimli
to
with the
back,
other guy.
saving each other.
It's Gimli and Legolas, just never imagine dying near a dwarf. What about dying next to a friend? Aye, that works.
Mm. No, it's in my backstory about fighting robots,
No, it works. It works. I mean,
and it's not racism.
you're a bigoted racist towards robot kind, towards android kind, and we definitely need to find a solution to your bigotry. But it's fine. It's fine.
It's the same for Vietnam when he hear their leaves talking.
Yeah, the leaves talking.
Am I gonna have to edit this?
No,
Okay.
trying to make sure there's no racist jokes.
I'm not racist.
This is a Christian game, okay? It's a Christian game.
Sure, right, of course.
It's PG-18, so we can say one swear word.
Fuck.
No,
God damn it.
PG-13. You can say one swear word. And if you have Samuel Jackson, you cannot do it because he has them all.
Wait, if you're Samuel Jackson, you cannot be PG-13. I mean, how does that
Oh.
even work?
Oh, haven't you seen Avengers? That is PG-13, and he say one
Oh, right.
swear word every movie.
Huh.
Mother.
So that's why. That's why he's not getting that much screen time in those.
Yeah. And it's pretty clean for being a PG-13 movie.
I really dislike the superhero movies. I mean, even Samuel Jackson cannot get me to watch them.
I think it's fine. They are popcorn movies. They are not like you're getting smarter by watching them.
I mean,
suppose,
I just
but
downloaded Into the Spider-Verse to watch that one.
Yeah,
but
Spider was pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
because I like
Spider-
Spider-Man, but like superhero movies, I guess, have been a little overdone in the last years.
The
I
problem
like the Joker, but that's not really a superhero movie.
that
is it?
is that
No.
is psychological drama. That is more like a psychological drama.
I mean, recently movies have been pretty good. I
Nah.
liked Ford vs Ferrari. Did you watch that one?
No.
Ford vs Ferrari. It's pretty good. It's basically like, it's like 1960s or something, and Ford is on its back leg because Ford died. And if you know the history of Ford cars, basically Ford fucked up a little bit. He got really old and senile, I'd say. Even he like really abused his son. His son was really wanted to innovate with cars, and his dad was basically shutting him down every time. Like, no, we will build the same cars every single time, And the company stagnated, and at the same time, like, they wanted to create a race car, for the grand race, and Ferrari was winning it. Like, they were fucking taking it away, and the Ford company, the chair board, basically decided, yeah, we're just gonna bureaucrat our way, and just build us a race car. And they gathered a bunch of engineers and told them to build a race car.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, but like they gave them shoestring budget and everything. Like, basically just just do it for the sake of doing it, you know,
Mm,
just to keep the suits happy,
yeah.
you know. But the guy who did it, like, he genuinely wanted to do the race car, and like there's a really soul touching moment where like they finally build a race car, and they get like the suits don't want Ford's son to get into it, you know. And they basically like, you know, hoodwink the suit, and they get him inside of the car, and Ford is like, you know, you should hold on, and he's like, why should I, you know, it's one of my cars, why should I be surprised by them? And then the race driver, you know, he goes full speed, you know, just, and then they finish, and like the Ford's son is like, you know, and he's like, Mr. Ford, are you okay? And the son starts crying, and he just, you know, starts sobbing like full on, and he says, I wish my dad was here to see the cars we make now. It's really touching, you know. It's like, oh, he's like, I wish my dad was here to see the car we made.
Oh God, I have missed that. I did it after man because I got high positive remix.
So
Yeah.
are there like some racing scenes too?
Oh yeah, there's some racing scenes. There's also really good jokes in there as well. Like near the end, so they have this car racing, right? And it's not closing the door. The door doesn't close, so they just, you know, they drive it into the repair thingy, you know, for the race, and they just go like, one of the engineers just picks up the fucking sledgehammer and goes like, step aside, motherfuckers. And he just hammers the door shut, and it's just like, go.
Nice.
So yeah, the movie's pretty good. It's like, it's, you know, it's man movie, you know. It's not like, not manly movie as in, you know, man, you know, like Demolition Man or anything like that, or like, you know, one of those man movies. But it's more like men movie, you know, where a bunch
Yeah.
of men do a thing because they're passionate for it, and it's really interesting, you know. And it has like a good story behind it.
I mean, it's about car engineering and racing. It doesn't get more manly than that.
Yeah, it's not a manly movie. It's about men. You know, it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of men. They do a thing. I mean, it's, you can have women in it too, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
I like the Irishman actually.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good movie. Like, really watch it. Really recommend it. Good movie. Good plot. Good jokes in there as well. It mostly hits the marks and everything, like I'd say. Also 1917. Oh, that's a pretty good movie. I was very skeptical of it because it's a World War One movie.
Oh, right,
and
that one.
Hollywood and World War One go like, you know,
Honestly,
cancer and
looking at how
leukemia.
many feminists are reading about another movie about men and no women in the trenches and all that jazz, it's gotta be a good movie.
It's
Oh,
more the
God.
problem with them. They are like, you don't. If you have a script that doesn't have any women in it, it's good. It's good. If the story
But
needs
it's
women
not
in it,
about women. There's no other character. There are two characters in the movie, and actually there is a woman in the trench. There is a young woman in that movie. Like, I can spoil, I assume, right?
yeah. But the problem
There's
is that they-
this young teenager who saves a baby, and she's like, you know, she's literally like in the trench, like bombed out fucking mill or something. I don't remember precisely.
How do you save a baby and then you land at the
And,
fucking front line?
like,
The trench.
No, she's not in the front line, but she's like near it.
Okay.
Basically, it's one of the towns that got caught up in it, and it's bombarded day in, day
Fair
out. And she's hiding in it because, you know, she'll get shot if they move. Like, it's a high risk, and she's taking care of this baby. So how can you say that there's women who aren't strong? Like, sure, they don't fight on the front lines. I mean, women can fight on the front lines, like that fucking idiot who
I
said
mean, it's
women cannot
always
sword
like
fight.
this. The feminists don't actually watch the movies, so.
I mean, it's like that fucking Guardian article writer who said, like, women cannot sword fight, and then every single Hema woman lost its.
Yeah, I've seen one say like basically I'm willing to demonstrate this in public, which I'm just saying sounds a lot like an invitation to a duel. But
Oh yeah, motherfucker. I mean, we have 3 females in our Hema group, and Jesus Christ, like you do not want to mess with these ladies. If you are not experienced and you don't know how they fight, they will kick your ass. Like seriously,
they fight differently for how men does.
They fight very aggressively. Like one thing, especially in our club, like our club, the RKM as we call it, Renaissance School of Sword Fighting, in Lithuania it's RKM. We are very aggressive in general in our playstyle. Like that's just our thing. That's our signature thing. Also, we wear black and green gambesons. Black and green. I think that's a pretty good color scheme, eh?
Yeah.
And we fight very aggressively. That was a thing in the tournament as well. We fought extremely aggressively. Like the other clubs, flat out, we had people who got, you're just coming at this guy, and he is panicking because he doesn't know. He's losing his shit because he doesn't know how to react. Because you're not stopping. You're not stopping to parry his blows. You're pushing through him. Like you're pushing past his defenses. You're going straight at him, and he's like backing off because he doesn't understand and he doesn't know how to react. Because in their like the other club we faced off, their fencing was more like the classical fencing. Just like you step forward, I step forward. It's back and forth, a little bit. And when we go in, we went in straight for the kills. And like the ladies in our fucking tournament, they killed it. Like they would go in straight for the kill. Like they would, no lube, no lube.
Nice.
They went in hard and fast, and there was no lube. So
how far did you get?
I won 7th place out of 30 contestants.
Neat. And the others?
Pretty decent as well. Like I faced off against them as well.
Were there like different
I
groups or something?
Yeah, different groups.
Age, weight class, something like that?
No, actually, it was free for all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was no discrimination between men and women. Like you would fight on the same cases, and you could often get your ass beat.
You'll probably come back.
And we don't care about that.
Why, thanks.
Women can sword fight.
Yes.
Anyone can sword fight. A sword is just a fancy stick when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess the next day we had a chat before we went to sleep, and then I guess next day, or are other people also doing crazy stuff?
Unless this group wants to fight impromptu.
I'm wondering what the hell Skogs Dr. Herman is doing. I just imagine Adnines just pulling in his bags, and he goes into the room and he waves to everyone else, and he puts down his bag and he's like, "Where's Herman? Didn't he say that?"
Oh, if you know, I'm in the medical bay and sleeping in the medical bed.
Okay. I guess the room is up for me then.
I'm gonna tell everyone that they are welcome to have a chat with me for voluntary psychological examination or just friendly chat.
Sami will raise her eye at the psychological
The implication
part.
that she needs it.
Yeah, there you go.
I still needed to have a chat with you, but no need to talk about my psychological state. Not much has changed in 50 years, I can say.
Oh.
Alright, you want to talk now? Or?
Yeah. I'll just come by.
Alright, no need to do that private, I guess. By the way,
it's cool.
Are there like ship logs of conversations in rooms or something? Like, what's the surveillance on this thing?
There's the only surveillance cameras are quite obvious, and they're just watching main access points and important places on the ship. Like there's one in engineering and there's one in the bridge. So there's not in the showers or anything like that.
All right.
Yeah, there's no and they appear to be they don't have any audio. They're just purely visual.
That's probably a lot better for the general psychological state of crew members. I mean, privacy is a nice thing.
If you say so. I wouldn't worry about cameras. I mean, we have nothing to hide, right?
Well, that's what people always say, but you're naturally on edge if you are recorded and stuff, so it's just not good. Not good for the mind.
If you say so. You're the expert.
It's something about the climate, work environment, that kind of stuff. So, what did you want to talk about? Our, well, my employer, or about your memory holes? How's it going with that?
No, honestly, I just wanted to ask about your wife. What happened to her?
Oh, well, that's unexpected.
Well, I told you, right? That I figured out that your wife was on a ship heading out of the system as well. And apparently, the contemplative Mira that I know that, well, got me into this whole mess, she is now taking care of your wife. And, well, due to the fact that she mentioned it, it was pretty easy to figure out that she was your wife.
I see.
Apparently, there's not a lot of your race around.
We're a little spread thin, yes, but...
So, how did she get injured?
It's not really injury as much as some sickness of sorts. I mean, Brenneri aren't far behind by any means in medical technology, but it's a rare thing. It's genetic, and has to do with how our respiratory system works when we dive. So Brenneri like to swim a lot. You know, our home world is it's nice. It's lots of trees and lots of rivers. Lots of rivers. They call it the river planet actually. And lots of fish there. But yeah, we swim a lot. And we dive a lot, and it's a nice activity. We enjoy that a lot, and it's also very important for the cultural part. There's lots of ceremonies that are done swimming, marriage too actually, and well, her lungs don't do diving so well. In fact, she had an incident where she just started coughing blood all of a sudden. So yeah, that was making me very worried. And apparently the cure, or the treatment at least, is it's not that common. It's kind of high tech, I suppose, and it's a lot of long-term care. She has to basically be in a clean room and breathe special air that is supposed to regenerate her lung to a more stable state over time. And
I see. And this is where Mira comes into the picture.
Yes. Thing is,
She liked puzzles. That was pretty clear from the start.
Yeah, from what I can tell, they are competent over there. So, how do you know this Mira?
well, I ended up at Haiakelu, where she worked 50 years ago. And I was supposed to test a few solar crystals for her, but that went horribly wrong. I couldn't control it, and it exploded in my face. And apparently I woke up 50 years later.
That has to be sort of a shock, I can imagine.
It is unexpected.
Especially when you then get shot at.
Yes, I mean, the fact that I was immediately almost run over by an android was really unexpected.
You don't
And
mean...
the guards shooting me while they were friendly. Well,
Okay.
apparently it was 50 years ago, but it helped that I had a few seconds to read up on the fact that it was 50 years ago. If I would not have been able to do that, it would have been a lot worse. But I'm still missing some spots in my memory.
The... what do they call it? Freeze... brain freeze? I'm not sure what the medical term is. I'd have to look it up.
I guess it is. Yes, most likely.
That does come back over time, I think, yes?
Well, it has improved. It's not perfect, but it has improved.
That's good. Do you remember relatives or overdue library fees?
I chuckle. And no library fees as far as I know.
That's good. Those are ridiculous.
Agreed. But, well, I mean, I know how I ended up on New Corona, and I know where I come from. But, I mean, when I arrived on New Corona, I wasn't really sure what my next mission was. I was waiting for a sign. And, well, after a twist, I ended up here.
You are from the military?
I have been in the military, yes, but I am no longer a military person. Even though this armor might suggest otherwise.
So what kind of... what did you do? Was that New Corona military, or I'm not really...
No. It was way before New Corona.
Oh. Well, if... I mean, I'm not prying, but that sounds interesting. Interesting job.
I was part of a peacekeeping force at the end of a long war period. I mean, it wasn't all bad, but there were definitely still some horrific sights to be seen. Even though they called it the end of the war, it was still bloody.
Such is war, I guess. So...
This armor, and he points at his own armor that he's wearing, is just one of the spoils of war, and well, it's a token that reminds me of my past.
Who did you take it from?
Well, I don't know his name or anything. I only know that he was a military officer from the enemy. He is, well, my first special kill. He is where it all started.
And judging by the medals, you were there for quite some time?
Well, again, I mean, these things are not mine. These were his.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I left them on. They look pretty, but but honestly, they don't really mean anything to me. I don't really even know what most of them mean. These humans, you know.
Well, at the very least, I can tell you're very skilled to have gotten this off him. With that many medals.
Well, at that point, I was almost certain that I would have died on that spot. But, I mean, this mysterious thing, and I manifest my solar blade.
Ooh.
It just, I mean, it popped up when I needed it, and it ensured my survival.
Really? How interesting.
At that point, I had a new destiny. And I had purpose again.
I suppose they gave you new specs for that.
Well, they didn't even know, to be honest. I didn't understand it yet, so I didn't really share it at that point. I actually still had no idea how to control it, and after that moment it just disappeared again, so I wasn't even sure what happened at that time. Only thing I knew at that point was that I survived. Only later I learned that I could actually summon this thing on my own. When I was back on Castrovel, where I was taught the way. I mean, I now know sort of how it works, at least in theory. The forces that, I mean, control the universe, and where I'm drawing this power from.
Well, some practice can't hurt, I suppose. I was actually quite young when I learned I could do this. And I just point my finger at some object and let it float.
Neat trick.
Yeah, well, it's I can do a few other things. It's quite useful. So I didn't exactly make it my job, I suppose, but well, I get consulting jobs actually a lot for people who
What were you making float?
I guess some cup or something.
Okay. After you do that, and after you make it float away, do you put it down again?
Yeah.
With your...
Just gently let it float down.
I'll just use one of my powers as well at that point, and I'll just float it back to its original position.
Oh.
And put it down again. I mean, it's a neat trick, as I said.
VV got a talented bunch, didn't he?
Yes, I mean, the fact that we're here together, it has to mean something.
Yes, I don't.
There are strange forces that brought us together. That
Yes,
is clear to me
I don't
now.
believe in circumstances that interesting, I suppose. Right? But
I'm not really sure yet what brought us together, but
well, I'm
it's
fairly sure that
probably not just people. There's more at play.
So you think you woke up at this time exactly for a reason, maybe?
Well, it does suggest it, yes. And honestly, I hope so. Because it means I can continue my mission.
And
Even though I'm not 100% sure what my mission is, but the stars will guide me.
Okay. Well, I'll help you to the best of my ability. And I extend my hand.
I'll shake your hand. I will do the same. We definitely need to work together.
Oh, by the way, I bought this.
and I cram some tech gadget out of my backpack that looks, when unfolded, a little bit like a headset. Put it on my head, and it has like a visor for my eye. It's some sort of scanner. I thought maybe I'd walk around the ship a little bit. I'm not quite sure how these work, but it sounded good.
Well, I mean, technology has not changed that much apparently in 50 years, at least not on New Corona. But I'm also, to be honest, not one that really knows too much about tech, so probably should ask somebody else if you want to know how it works.
That's fair. Maybe I'll ask Tex or the doctor. But
They
thanks.
seem to be more interested in those gadgets, I guess.
Alright, well, honestly, I'm not really a good sparring partner, so for that, I suppose you'll have to ask someone else too, but we can talk whenever you want. I'm good at that.
Agreed. I mean, you are a good sparring partner when it comes to words.
That's new. I have to remember that one.
A fight doesn't always have to be with a weapon.
Agreed.
Well, it was nice to actually meet you and talk with you.
Likewise. Whenever you feel the need.
I'm expecting a very high-end, 3-hour-long chess match between you two at some point.
Okay. With telekinetic chess piece movement, I suppose.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Anyhow.
Yeah, I didn't want to drag this out too long, I suppose.
Yeah, this is
That's
good.
fine.
Alright, yeah,
While
so
that's going on, Sami is... Oh, go on.
Okay, so I will go find tags and stuff, but you can do stuff first.
I mean, I was just going to say, while that's going on, Sami's just going to teach Aurora how to give a paw, be polite, give a bow, etc. Basically,
Okay.
just teaching tricks because she's bored.
Oh yeah, how's that
Then a
going,
question.
Jake?
Is food a motivator? Is the better question.
Kind of.
She may be a sweetheart, but she's still a cat.
I mean, you said that she came to the food pretty quickly, so then I assumed she was food motivated.
Yeah. Well, I was asking if you were using food as the motivator.
Oh, definitely, yeah. She has a clicker and everything.
Yep. She responds quite attentively. It takes her a little bit to get the paw. She's at first thinking you're offering her the food, and then it's a little bit of a. She's going to be a work in progress, but the paw is fairly easy. The left one comes easy. You spend the rest of the day trying to get the right one off and on as you do other things.
Yep.
And you also kind of get a sense of her that it's surprisingly easy to read her mood through her whatever color her fur happens to be shining. The different colors seem to mean different things. And if we're playing with like a little mouse toy, when she gets kind of like on all fours and just gets like that funny look in her eyes that cats get when they're about to chase something, the butt wiggle. She kind of gives away the butt wiggle with she turns like a vibrant red for a few seconds, and then she pounces on it, and then she pretty much just goes back to being all the colors of the rainbow.
Yep. And she's doing this just basically on the bridge, sitting in a chair, like Star Trek version, and just, not minding who looks at her and knowing that she's in full sight of the
doing
captain.
it while Adnines is piloting right next to her.
In fairness, there's not much you really have to do at this point at night. It's more or less just making subtle course corrections. While the warp in this world is not like 40k warp, there's no demons or anything, but it is still a little bit on the unstable side at times. So you're pretty much, it's like constantly navigating a ship through a storm that's just an annoyance to the size of ship. Nothing that you need to have all hands on deck for. Just like little course corrections, and adjusting thrusters and things. And things that, again, you're like, okay, wait, what the fuck was that I just did? Oh, yeah, I have to do that. How do I know that? That's kind of like become a running gag with you, is that you're puzzled by the fact that you're actually good at this.
Yeah, I realize it only after I've done it.
And then eventually you probably get a thump as a rainbow cat pounces into your lap after the toy.
I look down on it, and I kind of grab it by the scruff of its neck and turn around to Sami and say, "I believe this belongs to you."
And she's just pretty much sitting. She's just hanging there limp with the toy in her mouth, looking pleased with herself, not even remotely upset about being picked up by the scruff of her neck.
Sammy, seeing that, nods and says, "Yeah, she's mine." She's gonna give her a little scritch on her head and then take her back. And continue playing.
Turn back around and continue with piloting the ship.
You're quite the serious type, aren't you?
I'm just not sure what to tell you. What to tell the others. I don't really remember what I was, he says, flicking a few other switches. I don't really remember who I am. I'm trying to figure that out. This, he says, flicking a few other switches. I don't even know how I am doing this. It's almost
interesting.
muscle memory. I don't even remember how I learned these skills, only that I do know them.
So what do you remember?
I remember jobs, many jobs, sometimes big, sometimes small, always hunting, always searching.
What were you hunting?
People, animals, sometimes monsters.
Monsters and people can be the same thing.
Yes, they can. I say, flicking a few more switches.
Are you the racist?
What? I also remember other people who I used to call comrades. However, I also remember being betrayed by them, by someone I knew as a brother.
Is that how you ended up there?
I was shot in the head by someone I thought was my brother.
Nothing personal. It's just business. You kind of have that image go through your head, and you flinch when you see the gunshot being replayed to you. And Sami, this is pretty clear for you to notice as well.
I see that that's still very vivid for you.
Yes, I say, and I flick a few more switches.
So you said he's like your brother. Was he actually your brother? Or like a brother-in-arms kind of deal?
I don't remember. That's the thing with losing your memory, is it? You don't remember your loved ones, you don't remember who you are, you don't remember what you were. I don't even know my own name. The only thing that came up in my databanks was Adnines. It's funny. I don't even really know if this is a name or just a random thing that my computer came up with. I don't even remember if I was always like this, he points at himself. Or if this was just something that the Viacorp left me with.
Sami sighs. Well, maybe you should see it as a positive thing then. If you've killed a lot of people, that usually brings some sort of trauma with it.
Yeah. Oh, it helps if someone doesn't bring it up.
She smiles. So what do you want your story to be then?
Honestly, he says, turning around. For now, I'm not really sure. Most I'm trying is living day to day. Whatever this VV is and whatever this job is, it at least will allow me to pick myself by the scruff of my neck and get me out of that fucking planet. After that, he says, we'll see after that. I do really want to find whoever did this to me, he says, pointing at the scar on his face, and put a few bullets in him as well.
I've learned that revenge can feel like it would taste sweet, but sometimes it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Then you haven't had enough of it.
Sami shakes her head. I've had plenty. Doesn't work. It's always a new evil to fight.
Yeah, well, I suppose a few bullets and whoever did this to me will help me feel better moving on.
Better is good, just don't get lost in it. Met a few people like that. All the while she's being serious, by the way, she's just trailing the feather around her chair and stuff.
And you hear the of little kitty paws just chasing the thing around with enthusiasm. She snatches it a couple times, tries to walk away with it. Of course, it immediately rebounds back to you, and then she immediately begins chasing it again.
Yep.
Anyway, I checked the data logs to see how much time is left until we arrive.
All right.
I plan on notifying the crew an hour before the ship jumps out. At least.
Yeah, make me maybe another piloting check to determine that to such a specific degree. All right. You're fairly certain you have at this point about 17 hours remaining. So it's. The thing is, night and day have ceased meaning anything. That's not a huge departure from being on New Corona in retrospect, but you're now effectively on shipboard time. And it's about the end of what would be the third shift. The shifts are divided into 8 hours. If you guys adhere to that, it's completely up to you. But there are the ship systems are built around those shifts for people to be on them. But generally speaking, so long as someone is at the helm, which is either... It can pretty much be any of you that have at least one rank in piloting or the captain. Just watching it at some point, everything is fine. The rest of the ship just kind of takes care of itself. Assuming you don't hit any large-scale warp disturbance, which you've spotted a couple Adnines, but they were so far away, it was, it's like avoiding a mountain when you're mountains away from it. You just kind of plot a minor course adjustment and you miss it. So... It's really up to you guys. So it's approximately the end of the third shift in the beginning, so closer to midnight, quote unquote. But again, time is an irrelevant thing on a ship.
Shall I take the helm then?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What'd you say, Skog?
Shall I take the shift then?
I mean, do you actually know how? Do you have a rank in piloting?
Yes.
No. I'm curious where the heck would Bob be in that situation.
Probably in the laboratory.
No, he's just gonna hang around in the engineering somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so he isn't always following you. You can't put him on a stay still Bob mode.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably running diagnosing and charging batteries or something.
Yeah.
Also, Sami wants to check the weapons before she goes to sleep.
All right. What kind of checks do you wish to do on the weapons?
See how operable they are. See if they're, functioning like they should. No malfunctions or anything bad going on.
You'll see Tax busy messing with all the laser weapons we have. Like putting them back.
She means the ones in the ship. She has her own weapons. She means the ones on the ship.
I'm messing with all the weapons.
Well, it's kind of difficult. There's very limited stuff you can do to modify the weapons as far as shipboard weapons, because remember, just the sheer scale of them. But Sami, go ahead and make me roll an engineering check for me, because I'm pretty sure you have that as a skill. All right.
There you go.
You do a quick spec. You pretty much just switch between them. You go through the basic diagnostic. You kind of open up the. You really can't open up any of the ballistic weapons, specifically the missiles, which are your missiles in the flat cannon. But you give the turret gyros a once over, and they all seem like a lot of the things on the ship, well worn but in good condition. They're not going to win any prizes for marksmanship, but they're also not going to steer you wrong. It's dwarven engineering. It'll literally work until it fails. You go through the particle cannon. That seems to have a lot of wear and tear, but completely functional. You go through the cycle through the gyro lasers and the mining lasers. The mining lasers are the most beat up, but again, they're a tool before they're a weapon. They're kind of a secondary weapon. But like going through the scales, you realize how far these things can go up, and if they get a decent hit against armor, they'll cut through it like butter. But it's all about getting that good hit. And the gyro lasers have full travel. That seems to have been very well maintained, so those things can cover the entire ship effectively. And then what else? Flak thrower, particle cannon. Yeah, everything seems as good as it's going to get. Better than you expected. You kind of looked at a mining ship and you're like, oh great, I better hope this thing has guns on it. And now you realize, oh yeah, it's a dwarf ship. Dwarf ships are always well armed.
And you can tell that they're easy to manage and, like maneuver and stuff.
Yeah. And it's quite, as long as you're in one of the gunner seats, it's actually very trivial to switch between them. I think it's the equivalent of a move action to switch between one gun, and you don't actually have to physically get up. You just switch controls from one to another. So, and the flak thrower, of course, that is specifically an anti. It's not really much use unless you're getting attacked by a swarm of things, in which case it's effectively just a gigantic shotgun. But it is very useful for taking down enemy missiles. And other tracking weapons such as torpedoes.
Can it hurt fighters?
Yes, it can hurt fighters. It can hurt anything technically, but it's very short range. It can only be fired at short range. But then again, if you hit, fighters will get shredded by it. But most fighters are not going to be stupid enough to get that close to a flak thrower for obvious reasons. And by this time, I assume that Aurora has again fallen asleep.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, such a hard life, that cat, huh?
Yeah, I mean, getting fed, being petted, and then sleep and play, and sleep and play. So difficult. Yeah, and then she's just gonna retreat back to the bedroom shared with Nova.
While you're still there, I probably come knocking on the lab or something. Since that seems convenient. And enter. Hey Tex, do you want to try this scammer? Oh, hey Sami. Should I call you Miss Sami or is Sami fine?
Sami's fine.
Alright. Tex, do you have some time?
What scanner?
I bought this. And I thought I'd just check the ship out. See if there are... I don't know if this thing shows cracks or whatever, but figured I'd take it for a spin.
Sami's gonna look at it too.
If there's a crack in the ship, I think we have bigger problems in your scanner working or not.
Well, I mean, luckily those two coincide and I can do those at the same time. You know, microcracks and stuff. So that's a thing, right? I'm not an engineer.
What kind of scanner does he have, Jake?
That's a very good question. What kind of scanner do you have?
It is an armory, Starfinder armory toolkit for 200 credits for perception. It is called a broad spectrum scanning kit.
Oh, interesting.
And it gives me. Can I just? Does it? Yes. There. It gives me plus
Sami, have
4
any experience?
to perception for searching stuff. So
Yes, you would have
Yeah.
some experience with them. They the thing is, for your line of work, they're a useful tool, but if it's something you get caught with, is one of those things that's very difficult to explain away how you just happen to have one of these things, so you probably never used one yourself unless it was a loaner from a contact, part of a job or something like that. They're very useful, but they're very obvious. There's nothing subtle about them.
Yeah. So not the most suitable for her, but she could be taught in how to use them.
Yeah. Oh, it's child's play how to use it. If you were a civvy who never had any experience, it would take a little bit, but someone like you with your background, it's child's play to learn how to use it.
Sami smiles and checks it out and says, like, well, let's see if anything's wrong with this one.
I mean, I'm sure it's functional. I just don't know how to interpret the spectrum analysis yet. So
Make a
I just bought this.
make a perception check to kind of use it, because you probably know how to use this far better than Magnus does.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Checks
which one?
out. Wait. Oh, that's the other way around.
Yep, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I had a shitty roll.
Yeah, you rolled only a 9, and Magnus rolled like double.
Yeah.
So
Maybe ask the engineer.
So you realize he actually has it set in the wrong setting. He's actually has it configured and working properly. Actually, better than you, and you've been able to use these things, as you've only really used it for very specific things. Magnus has apparently been tinkering with all kinds of settings you've never bothered to use, from low-level radiation emissions to carbon fiber, dust, which is actually a very real threat in some areas. And it's just a matter of clicking to the right setting, and then all of a sudden Magnus can see all kinds of different things about the ship. Although,
Sami will hand it back after a couple tick, 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 tick. There you go.
By the way, can I notice anything interesting about Sami? Like, specifically her hair color, I suppose? Does it glow in certain settings? Something like that?
well, with the quick scan, I'll let you use the 25, because I'm not someone who likes to spam skill checks till you fail.
All right.
You notice that Sami's hair color is actually natural, which Lashunta definitely do have exotic hair colors, but even hers is a little bit of a step above. And you thinking about it just generally, you actually make me a culture check, because this would be relevant.
We need to put points in that. Oh,
You still got a fucking 19. You know that Sami, specifically what gives it away is not necessarily her hair color, but the way her antenna curl, and that the fact that they're fuzzy, unlike Nova, who has the more standard hairless antenna. She's what is referred to as a Fae-touched Lashunta. Back when Fae were still a thing, before magic disappeared, certain Lashunta were touched by the Fae and had more whimsical features. There's stories that some Lashunta back then even had butterfly wings and things like that, though if people do have them, and none of it is natural. It's all through genetic modification or, prosthetics. But she definitely has that lineage in her. Of course, you also do notice that she probably goes to great deals to hide it. That her hair, both her hair and a little bit of the fuzz on one of her antenna has been shaved off or clipped, in the case of her hair. And it's clear that they were trying to do research about her specific line, because the Fae bloodlines are very... two Fae touched are the same, so she was just basically a research specimen to them. I mean, you're kind of the only one who didn't get probed in some way, Magnus.
as far as I
you
know.
you said that Sami didn't get probed,
get
but
probed.
shaved.
She didn't get probed. I meant that like sampling and stuff taken. No one messed with him. Well, I guess
systems
Nova
have
either.
My systems have been reporting that no anal projections have been.
You said anything about your butt?
No, he's
All
filling
of the
it in
holes
himself,
have not
Jake.
been penetrated.
Well, you know what's happening with my butt. So.
Yeah. an extra dimensional space, evidently.
Anyway,
Which I'm sorry,
One
that's just
space.
otter space, yes.
Oh, Sami, that's actually natural, isn't it?
She smiles and twirls it around a finger and says, yes, of course it's natural. What else would it be?
I mean, it's little. You're some rare type, I think. Yes.
She grimaces and says, yeah, you can call it that, I assume. I don't like to see myself as special in that sense.
I mean, it looks nice.
She smiles. It does.
But I suppose Viacorp was a little too interested for your good.
I mean, it ruined my haircut. For sure.
Yeah.
They just took a couple of samples. The guard you saw me with. Wait, did you see me with them or was that someone else?
No, that was Magnus
That was
and
us
Tax.
Yeah, you basically freed me and Tax and then shot the guard after he made the alarm.
Yeah, okay, so it was you.
So-
So she was like, yeah, well, I was in a private wing, so I wasn't hurt per se, just kept under anesthesia and someone didn't care to check enough if it was working properly. And I'm assuming my lineage helped a bit, and I woke up prematurely, shall we say. And then I
How lucky. I
Surprised
might have
guard.
never. I might have never gotten through that door. So
Well, I just wished I'd gotten a sense of that rotten bastard before he did what he did. Would have made our escape a lot easier. We wouldn't be on this darn ship again.
hell, I still don't know why they put me in there. I mean, that's just not nice.
You didn't go on a search. I immediately just hacked a computer.
I mean, there was a computer there, but it just said, "Fuck you, you're in prison." Excuse the language.
Oh, gods, the otter curses.
She's gonna smile and say, well, I do know that... Let's just say we're routed to the specific prison we were. That wasn't normal. We were put to the least secure situation. So that we could be freed easily. Ain't that lovely?
Mysterious, huh?
Indeed. I understand that Viacorp might want to inspect my lineage, but they could have just asked. They didn't
Yeah,
have to
well,
shoot me and tranquilize me.
I suppose they don't do that anymore. Asking.
Yeah. No, it's shoot then ask. Which is good, because that's also how the backstabbing bastard got his end. Just before I went down, he got a bullet straight through the brain, so I'm assuming he's gone now.
Who was he?
A very annoying Usoki.
You remember his name to be Radix.
Called something like Radix?
Really?
Really?
Radix. How interesting of another coincidence, I suppose.
How so?
You know, I asked Jax about it, and he said that was the name of the Isoki that I met just before I was captured. Grumpy guy, likes sewers, but not so much.
That's him. Slimy rat, you mean?
So he's dead.
He's long gone, yeah.
A burst of full automatic laser fire saw to that.
Yep.
That's good, I suppose.
I mean, he got shot by someone at Viacorp, so that's always interesting.
That is interesting.
Let's just say he didn't want to damage the wares more than this guy already had with a literal bomb.
You don't happen to
pick anything from him up or anything? By chance?
What do you mean?
No, just wondering.
No, what do you mean?
Something this size in his pouch, maybe. You know, they like to eat things, but not really. It's kind of gross.
Sami's gonna shake his head. By the time that he was disposed of, I was clutching on consciousness, so no, I didn't have
Oh, I see.
any way to get into his pouch.
I mean, it's not like he stole from me, but technically I didn't get paid, so, well, same thing, right?
Sami smiles. We probably got paid, and she's gonna do air quotations, by the same person, one of the leaders of Vanguard.
Or in your case, the leader.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know about his case, so I'm saying this.
Yeah, Magnus, you're not sure. You don't really look into that stuff too much. You just got lucky that you always had trusted contacts and you never had to worry about shit like that.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think people were kind of scared that you were a little too good with words and you might ruin their reputation if they didn't pay up. So it's either just to pay the otter off and just have him go on his way. You're not worth the double cross.
The otter has a
So you
reputation, alrighty.
Sami's gonna smirk and be like, well, that payment wasn't supposed to go through. It never was, so I assume we both got cheated.
So, did you work for them directly? Because I'm more of a subcontractor guy.
She shakes her head. No, I worked for the Red, but he was working for another contractor apparently. So yes, I'm why you say it like that? I guess I kind of was, unknowingly. I had to dispose of someone, so.
Is that what you do?
Sometimes. Other times it's just finding information. I'm a versatile gal.
I suppose that might come in handy, right? Especially since Jax isn't here.
Out of curiosity, Magnus, does 13 hit your KAC?
Oh, buddy. It does.
All right, you get booped on the snoot by a cat for. Then she just kind of puts her little paw out and just boops your nose and just looking at you upside down, sitting on Sami's lap.
What's her name?
Aurora.
Ah, fitting.
She smiles. Isn't it just?
He's gonna pet Aurora a little.
Aurora does like your pets, but you get a sense, like, you know, a part of your studies into psychology of humanoids and quote-unquote sentient creatures, a lot of that also had lots of theses about animals, and you realize that she likes you and she actually even starts purring. It's not because of how good you're scratching her, despite you've gotten those little nubby claws that are actually very good for scratching. It's that she gets a very good sense of you. Animals are actually very good about reading people. It's partially why your race is so good at reading people. You have an instinctual, animalistic understanding of people's posture and everything about them, and your brain is not even worrying about thinking about it. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, that means this, and acting on it. Aurora is very much the same. She reads you as a good person.
Lovely. You know, it's interesting. On my planet, there's actually been a dispute for quite a bit. If they want to let cats in, cause invasive species and all that, and I mean, they do like fish, right? But they don't actually. Well, I mean, it's not exactly that we have a rat problem either, so you know, it hasn't gotten through yet, because some people are, I think, legitimately worried that they might just, you know, hunt some birds to extinction and all that, and so we don't actually have these.
Sami's gonna grin and be like, well, as long as you promise not to experiment on her, I suppose if you could have her like for like half a day. I do still need to do some more training with her.
Oh, that's nice. Just, I suppose, behavioral experiments.
If you're gonna probe her, you don't get her. She's just gonna say extremely sternly to you.
No, nothing like that. Don't worry. Just
You're
playing.
you're just gonna put the cat in the maze instead. The cat's gonna go around the maze.
And
Or, you
I
know,
I
just
don't think I'm
jump straight
quite
over it.
up to maze experiments yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Oh, that I did want to scan the ship though. Tex, you have time, or do you want to calibrate that thing?
I mean, didn't Sami just do that for you?
You got a general scan, but if he wants to get more detailed information, especially with the thick plating and basically
I legitimately wanted to walk the whole ship and throw perception checks. So if I have free time anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think
it
we
requires
should get
fine
the
tuning.
doctor.
okay, I
I
will
think
ask
we should
him.
get the doctor as well, and then we can all just walk around. The three of us should be more than sufficient to figure out if there is anything wrong.
Alright, sounds good. Is he on shift right now?
Doctor? Maybe
I
not.
know he's sleeping in the medical base. I mean, he's always there.
You want me to send in the cat? This is out of character.
Well,
Skogs,
you go down to...
do you wanna? Or should
Yeah.
we just check?
So,
I guess we just go check.
I
Where's the
mean,
cat?
the minute they go at the door, she's just gonna telepathically try and connect to the doctor like, hello, you awake?
The cat.
No, you fucking idiot. The guy who's supposed to be
Question: do you
sleeping.
knock before you go in?
Yes.
Telepathically, how hard is it to get? She's just going in.
Herman ignores that, and you hear some clicking noises, and you open the door. What do you want?
I was gonna scan the ship. You're the engineering guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm new to this thing, so do you wanna walk around with me? Or do you have stuff to do? I don't know.
How much do I know about that computer thingy?
it's a broad spectrum scanner. It's very useful in a variety of roles, although you know it will take very specific calibrations, maybe hour or so's worth, to be able to get anything other than general readings on the ship. Mostly because it's a dwarf ship with heavy plating, specifically zippy-proof plating. So to bypass it, and to get any kind of scan, it's going to take time.
Are
Can I
there
try
any
to-
specific locations I should scan, maybe?
Proper around the engines and the rocket thrusters.
Right. Okay.
But I can follow
Batteries,
you.
shields.
Yeah, I can follow you with you. I
Alright.
haven't.
Tax is gonna tag along as well.
So it's this comical sight of you three guys all trying to look over the same device, and as you're passing down the hallway, you just see the dwarf, the captain with a bottle in his hand. He kind of looks at as you having your chattering about this and that, and he just kind of shakes his head, like, I had an odd bunch, and he just goes back to drinking.
Sami's just gonna follow like 10 steps behind him just to see if they miss anything.
Alright, so...
Meanwhile, like Tax is looking over the otter's shoulder, and I'm sure the doctor's on the side as well. On the other side, looking over the otter's shoulder.
Alright,
have-
so Jake, what do we roll? I go perception and we get
Yeah,
engineering and phys science, or...
Yeah, roll me one each of those. So perception for you, Magnus, and then, the other two, you get your relevantly good skill.
Right.
Okay, what is my best skill? They are the same.
Oh boy.
Physical science, if you want to look for that. Engineer. Engineering.
You do engineering. That's your job.
Okay, so we got a 21, a 9, and a 22.
Yeah,
Someone
and I'm
is-
gonna connect to that device, so I'm not gonna have to look over the shoulder.
Yeah, you can. It has wireless capability, so
Yeah.
you're capable of just like using your own heads-up display. It's still pretty funny because it's not the longest range antenna, so you still got to be kind of close to it, within about 5 feet.
Sami would do the same.
So
Do
you're all
it.
kind of. So, Magnus, you are absolutely certain in one of the left hallways going down towards the main engineering bay, there is in fact a light out. It may have only been out for an hour, but you're certain it's out. Tax, you're fairly certain the ship is currently upside down in space, but then you realize about 5 minutes later that that's not a big deal because space doesn't have up or down.
Like Tax, like, oh my god, we're outside. Oh, wait, never mind. We're fine. We're
Yeah.
fine.
You have a freak out moment. And with the engineering, Dr. Herman, you're fairly certain this place, despite how good it is, could still really use a thorough cleaning. You think maybe making a little robot to go up and down the hallways a couple times might not be a bad idea.
I'm just thinking about if my robot has subroutines for cleaning.
You're fairly certain if he saw dust, the best you could do with his subroutine was literally just to smash a hole in the ground until the dust was gone. You might be better off just like using a few credits or something, or some of the spare parts and making a Roomba.
More dust?
Exactly.
Oh,
No.
we had some good droids in the slums. They called it a Roomba. Maybe I should try to make one.
Maybe.
Make it sentient then. It's fun.
Tax,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That
Really?
can be.
What is
that-
my purpose?
That,
You clean dust.
that can be
Oh
a
my
Oh my god.
Please kill me.
we-
He just
yeah,
rolls. He rolls by Barry and is like, "Hey, little man, what's up? Hey, Barry, what's going on, man?"
The problem.
please end my existence,
No,
Barry.
it would be a suicidal robot.
You should,
Please call coffee into my systems and end my existence.
you're gonna hear
me.
Herman say that applying limited AI to robots can be a very dangerous thing, and I'm not that good at it yet.
Sami sighs and says, "Better not take any risk then." Also, does she get anything from the thingy
Does he
that he
say
has?
that? Well,
What was your roll?
I didn't roll yet. What do you want me to roll?
What did you say, armed?
Go ahead, roll whatever you want.
Did you,
I could
did
also
you
roll mysticism.
Did
Yeah,
you
but-
also-
Yeah, one more roll for Magnus and one roll for you. So perception. Okay, good. And then Magnus, give me that mysticism. Okay. So with perception, Sami, you kind of are looking through various scans. Well, what kind of gets your attention is just the wiring. You realize, interestingly enough, this ship appears to have wiring that was clearly done by an elf. It's got that very astute attention to detail. Not to say there's anything wrong with the dwarven way of doing it. The dwarven way is obviously more efficient, but it's a bit of a secret shame. Not enough that it would be what got your captain in trouble, or what he perceives to be trouble and get banned, but it's one of those things where elves and dwarves can and do get along sometimes, but there's always that stigma between the two of them. Two very different ways of the same getting to the same conclusion. You know, back when it used to be either hit it with an axe or shoot it with a longbow. Now it's, yeah, you could snipe that guy, but I could just blow him up. So, and with your mysticism, Magnus, you kind of use the psychoreactive crystal within the device, and you're able to kind of peer through it. There really is very little in the way of magic on the ship, which again is not a surprise for a dwarven ship, but there are still the psychoreactive crystals embedded here and there that are designed for Tax and other psychically minded people to allow them to operate simple things without actually having to either physically touch it or use their voice, which not all races have.
Another testament to this ship being home to many species over the time, I suppose.
Or he just couldn't find a dwarf to do the wiring.
Or
Does
that.
somebody know why that would happen? Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
It would if he got disowned from his clan. That meant that a lot of dwarves probably would not deal with him. Even dwarves who were unrelated to their clan, if they know he was a outcast or even worse, an oathbreaker, he would be shunned by all of them. And it probably got to the point where he just needed wiring done, and an elf was the only thing he could find, and he just had to swallow his pride, which must have been pretty hard for him.
But it can be beneficial if you try to actually assault the ship if you have different kind of systems.
Yeah, I mean, it's his dwarf ship. Assaulting a dwarf ship is like, we might as well just have a platoon just kill themselves now. That's pretty much
but
what it's gonna be.
if you try to hack the wiring and you prepare for hacking a dwarf wires and you see elf, then you're gonna take more time.
Yeah, that would definitely throw them off for certain. An unintentional benefit, let's just say.
Can Sami
So-
find a name?
A name for what?
The elf.
Let's take a look-see. You kind of look through the scanner a little bit, and yeah, there is a little token with the elf's name. It's the elf's name is
Kilroy.
Elvara Lytherin. Which you can actually see. You actually get a decent scan as you're like, you borrow it while the boys are talking about something or playing with the cat or something.
Yep.
You do a very specific scan where you actually open up a panel looking at a piece of that elven wire, which on the outside doesn't look any different than normal wiring, but it's the way that it's woven through and around the various doodads, and it comes out to the way it does. There's actually the name is put on in micro or in very, very small font on the wiring.
Guys, I'm heading to bed.
Yep,
Right.
that's actually just where we're going to end, so.
Okay.
So.
See you guys next week.
So
Yeah,
back at
yeah.
yours.
Good night.
All right, and with that little tidbit, we'll actually be able to have maybe a proper adventure next time around. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I apologize for not being fully ready.
Shit happens,
I
right?
wanted to end on declaring that we're ETA 1 hour until we jump out into real space.
Well, I'll say this: the ship starts rumbling a little bit, and
no.
I'll leave you on that cliffhanger.
Oh,
How
shit.
about that? Anyhow, you guys are free to leave. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, good night.
night.
One question: was my character voice okay?
Yeah, it's a work in progress, my dude,
Yeah.
but it's getting better. I
I'm
like it.
basing it off of Geralt of Rivia and also Aegon of Karim. If you play Dark Souls 3,
Gods, which one was it?
the dude with the dog face helmet. Take an interest in her, have you? It's no use. The woman's a lost cause. Couldn't even become a firekeeper.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
Damn, he
No,
has a
I
sexy
definitely heard
voice.
the Geralt. Yeah, you got a little bit of that Geralt, like gruff, but like not trying too hard.
Yeah.
Not like Ravenscore and gruff, where it's obvious I'm
Yeah.
trying hard and I'm
Not
just a
too
fucking
hard, but-
asshole.
Not
You're
too
saying
hard,
Geralt
not
isn't
too
trying hard. He's trying all the time,
Oh
dude.
yeah, I mean Henry Cavill did great.
Oh no, I mean I'm just saying that compared
Yeah.
to other tough guy voices, Geralt is very low key
Yeah.
tough. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm a big ass muscle man.
I like
Yeah,
that
but
too,
it's legit like
because-
Batman levels of.
Yeah.
Where's Rachel? Where's Rachel?